We have two announcements to make today. The first being that the Concord Regional Crime Line has announced that the reward for information that leads to the arrest or indictment of the person or persons responsible for the murders of Stephen and Jess Wendy Reed has increased to $33,500 based on funds donated from multiple anonymous donors, as well as the Concord Police Patrolmen's Association, the Concord Police Supervisors Association, and the Retired New Hampshire State Police Troopers Association. And that leads directly into the next announcement today, which is that investigators are seeking to identify and speak with the adult male individual depicted in the sketch that was distributed today and that's on the monitor here. This male, who is a person of interest in this investigation, was seen in the vicinity of the shooting on Monday, April 18th, 2022. That area, that vicinity again being the broken ground trails off of Portsmouth Street in Concord, New Hampshire. I will stress that he is a person of interest. That is, he is someone that investigators believe may have information about these crimes as either a witness or a suspect. The individual, as you can see, is described as a white male in his late 20s or early 30s. He's described as being approximately 5 feet 10 inches tall and of medium build and having short brown hair and being clean shaven. He was seen at that time wearing a dark blue jacket, possibly with a hood, khaki colored pants, and was described as carrying a black backpack. Anyone who has information about the identity or whereabouts of this individual is asked to contact the Concord Police Department or the Concord Regional Crime Line. The Concord Police Department, again, can be reached at 603-225-8600, or tips can be submitted anonymously through the Concord Regional Crime Line at 603-226-3100. Tips can also be submitted online through the crime line at concordregionalcrimeline.com, or you can text message TIP 234 and your message to crimes, which is 274-637. Those tips, again, can remain anonymous. I can now take some limited questions, again, bearing in mind that this remains an active and ongoing investigation, so I'm limited to a large extent in the information I can provide based both on our ethical rules as well as in order to protect the integrity of the investigation.
Jeff, how did you come up with this image? Was it through security cameras, witnesses that live in or may have been in the area?
So I can't get into the details of what the image is based off on, again, to protect the integrity of the investigation, but can tell you that, again, it's a depiction that we are confident enough in to bring to your attention.
Was this based on interviews? You were taking people into the woods for days after you found their bodies. Is it safe to say this is a composite based on interviews you've done with people who are in the area?
I think as much as I can say is it's based on the investigation that's been done to date. Yes.
Can you talk about a timeline on when you developed the person of interest? And if you don't want to get into specifics, like yesterday,
Mm-mm.
you say in the last 7 days, a week after the bodies were found, or anything like that?
I can't get into the specifics of that timeline to any extent that you request.
We had heard that at one point you had more than 70 tips come in. Has not specifics, but have you been able to develop any leads out of that? Have any of the cameras that you've asked people to check or in their homes and in businesses along the area, have you gotten any leads out of any of that?
So certainly there have been tips that have been helpful. It's not uncommon, and I think that number has grown to over 170 tips, and Chief tells me that today they've already, based on the stories that you all have run, gotten dozens more tips today. So that's obviously a significant number. It's not unusual for some of them to not lead anywhere, but I can say that some of those tips have been helpful, have been useful to investigators as this investigation has progressed.
For people who,
Yep.
I was just going to ask, for people who live in the area where this happened, who have been terrified, what would you say? Do you feel like you're any closer after the last few weeks and all these tips that you've gotten?
So, nothing has changed with respect to the statement that we'd provide for those folks there. We still continue to have no specific information that any member of the public in general is in any danger. We continue to encourage vigilance for folks that live in that area and that live in Concord. Lock your doors, report anything suspicious you see to the Concord Police Department, but our statement remains the same with respect to that.
Is the man in the sketch a witness? Is this man a witness or is he a suspect?
So he's a person of interest. So a person of interest is someone who the police believe may have information related to the crimes as either a witness or a suspect, and that's what we have at this point.
Jeff, is there any sense of motive in this that you can comment on? Have you ruled out or pursued that it could be racially motivated?
So I can't comment on any motive in this case, or as you know, in any other case, that wouldn't be appropriate for me to speculate on, other than to say that investigators are pursuing all possible avenues here.
Can you say more about the timeline of when this person was seen between the 18th when they went for the hike and the 21st when they were found? Was he seen on one of those days at least?
Yep, no, I believe what I said is that this person was seen in the vicinity of the homicides on April 18th, 2022.
The day they went missing?
Correct. No, correct, yes.
Did you show this image to the Reed family? Does this person look familiar to them?
So I can't comment or get into the specifics of that, other than to say that the family is certainly made aware when updates are coming in the investigation, and is made aware of this information.
On the backpack, is it a small backpack that might be something that you would take on a trail hike, or is it a large backpack that might hold your entire life?
Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as sort of a large mountaineering or hiking backpack, but rather a school bag, in essence.
If you're able to say if you're any closer to figuring out whether this murder was, if the Reeds were targeted or if this was a random attack?
So again, that sort of goes to the motive question. It's not something that I could speculate on at this point, or something that we'd be able to discuss at this point.
Progress towards figuring that out.
So I think what's fair to say is that we feel like we're making progress in the investigation, generally speaking, and obviously that would be part of the investigation.
Have you been able to release the make of the gun that was used?
So that's not information we're able to provide at this point, no.
Was the man seen near the hiking trails or near their apartments, or where was he seen?
Again, in the vicinity of the homicides on the 18th. And obviously, going back to that information, the homicides occurred on the broken ground trails, and the Reed's bodies were recovered from a wooded area off of the Marsh Loop Trail.
Can you be more specific about where along that Marsh Loop trail?
I can't be more specific about that. And again, that's something to protect the integrity of the investigation. And what that means is that at this stage, it's important that there's information that's only known to investigators and to the killer. That allows us to consider the credibility and evaluate the credibility of information that comes in, and to prevent any witness tampering that may occur. So that's why we can't provide any additional information on that account.
Has the photo been circulated amongst the homeless population in and around the area?
So the photo obviously has been released by us today, and it's our hope that it'll be circulated by all of you folks, and certainly investigators will use it as a tool as well in speaking with any potential witnesses.
Was it circulated to anybody before given to us, or is this the first time you've revealed it today?
This is its first public release today. Yes.
Unusual to see a profile picture on a composite sketch like this. Do you have a full image, or can you comment why it's a profile, not a full image?
Sure. What I can say with respect to that is just that this is what we have, and this is based off of the information that we were provided.
Do you believe the person is still in the area, and if so, should they be considered dangerous?
So, again, this person is a person of interest. If someone believes they know this individual, believes they can identify this individual or provide any information, or thinks they see this individual, we'd encourage them to contact police in the first instance rather than try and make contact themselves. But again, simply that this is a person of interest, which means they could be a witness or a suspect here.
So are you able to rule out that there was anyone that may have been released from the state hospital or the state prison?
So again, speculating or ruling out anyone at this point would not be responsible.
Can I just
One
get
of
it?
the
Sorry.
donors, you said one of the donors had made a donation to the reward on the condition that information was received within 60 days. What's the significance of that on us?
I think again, not to speak for that individual, and based on the limited information I have, again, this is facilitated through the Concord Regional Crime Line. I think the hope was just to spark public interest and get anyone who has information to provide it now, which is certainly a hope we echo.
Quick comment from Chief Osgood or Deputy Chief Thomas. Can you take a minute to talk about the team? How are they doing? They're putting in a lot of hours. It's obviously a traumatic thing. Can you give us a comment on how your team is doing?
Yeah, thank you. So this investigation remains the Concord Police Department's highest priority, not only from our detectives and our investigators working directly on the case, but also our patrol division. They're spending a great deal of time in the community, trying to reassure the community. They're being visible. They've been patrolling the parks and trailheads. We're starting to get more bicycle patrols, more use of the four-wheelers into the trail system. And so it's an exhausting investigation, but we have a really good staff, and I'm very proud of them with the work they've been doing.
Chief, would you consider it safe to go walking on those broken ground trails now?
I think, I've said this a couple of times already. I think the city of Concord is a safe city. It's the safest state in the country. I still think Concord's safe no matter where you go. So yes, I think that's a good statement.
No, we're lucky that this case, again, continues to be led by the Concord Police, but that we have the assistance of the New Hampshire State Police, the Merrimack County Sheriff's Department, and of course the FBI that you all have covered. And so there's truly no issue with respect to the resources that have been devoted to this matter.
Just talk about the reward itself, and that's a substantial increase. Last time we talked about it was like $6,000.
$5,000 previously, correct?
5,000,
Yep.
now it's over $30,000. Can you speak to that size of the increase, what it means to the community, and what you hope that reward will mean for this investigation?
I think what we obviously hope that it means is that it will be an impetus for anyone who is, for whatever reason, held back to this point to come forward with any information they have, with any information about this individual depicted in the sketch, and certainly speaks to the fact that the community and law enforcement and my office as well obviously want this case to be solved. And so it's the hope that this will continue to spur on the information being provided, and that it will continue to be provided.
The size of this reward, I know in Manchester they got that $150,000 reward for Hominy Montgomery, but in this is a different area, and it's the Concord Regional line, right? Is this like one of the larger rewards they've offered in a case?
It wouldn't surprise me, but I don't have any specific information with respect to what their prior rewards have been. I think generally speaking on their website, what they say is that for homicide cases, and they put cold cases up there, that it's generally $5,000. So it's certainly over and above what they've advertised with other homicide matters.
Jeff, were you ever able to find out, or any comment on whether people, in the tips that you're hearing, heard gunshots at a particular time, or in retrospect realized that they may have seen or heard something that's valuable to you?
What I can say, I think, with respect to that is that people certainly did hear things that are of value in the investigation. I don't want to get into additional details with respect to that.
Any message to the killer in case he's listening to this?
No, I don't know if that's appropriate at this point. All right. Thank you all.